Tuning in to TV at two times speed. I'm FLA, and this episode is to recap all the shows of today, January 4th. There was a lot of pretty good shows tonight. Suburgatory premiered tonight with the storyline being multiple things. Mainly that George, the father, joins a country club and he's like really enjoying himself, going to the sauna and you know just hanging out. I guess I don't know what you would do at a country club, but he seemed like he was enjoying himself. And then he finds out his friend doesn't want him to be part of the country club, and drama ensues. It was an okay episode, not really the funniest one. I mean, the show in general is not a funny show. It's more dramedy, more drama than comedy. But another main drama standpoint of the show is Tessa seems to have a new love interest. So we get to meet him and the drama that ensues from her trying to date him. So that's interesting. Another show that re-premiered tonight was Modern Family. It was a okay episode, not the funniest. I still love Modern Family, but they just have ballpark episodes where they hit it out of the park, and this episode was just kind of mediocre. There were like three main plot points. One was Jay and Manny and his biological father went to the horse racing, and they just bet on horses. And apparently, Manny's dad, played by Benjamin Bratt, who is also on Private Practice, which premieres tomorrow. He has some kind of innate ability to talk to horses and find out who will win. So I don't know. It's weird. And seeing Benjamin Bratt with an accent is weird too because he doesn't do it that well. Maybe because I know that he has a really good American accent, so it's just a little weird for me. I don't know. The second storyline is between Cam and his boyfriend and how they have to deal with, their awards. Like, do they put it on the mantle and all that? I kind of agree with that whole plot line where, awards should not go on the mantle because you're just kind of being a show off and kind of stupid about it. But it was a funny plot point. I always love those two. They're really funny together and they just have good chemistry. And yeah, that was probably the funniest part of the episode. It's just their interaction in regards to their awards. And the last main storyline with Modern Family was that Phil thinks he's dying. I didn't find that part very funny because it was a little overdone, but Phil's really good with being overboard. But I don't know. I didn't find that plot point all that interesting. But the show in general was mediocre, pretty funny. Not well, mediocre funny, not laugh out loud the whole time funny, like it can be sometimes. Another show that premiered was Happy Endings, right after Modern Family. Uh, this episode was okay. I think the show in general is kind of just an okay show. It's not the funniest sitcom that they have, but they've had worse. And with Happy Endings, the storyline was Jane tries to get her husband and her sister to get along because they hang out together as a group all the time, but they never even talk to each other one on one. So she was trying to get her sister and her husband to just hang out together, and they actually pretend that they do, but they don't, and they find themselves in this whimsical way of watching a rom-com together but not together. They didn't mean to meet each other at the theater. They just bumped into each other and found out they both love romantic comedies. And it wasn't very funny. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't funny at all, actually, but that was one of the main plot points. The other plot point is that Dave goes crazy because Penny starts dating his therapist, which I understand. I mean, I think that's kind of messed up on Penny's part and the therapist's part, but the end of the episode, we kind of seem to see that there might be a kind of spark between Penny and Dave, so you kind of understand why Dave goes crazy. I don't know. I'm more for the drama of this show than the comedy because it's not really all that funny. But uh, It was an okay episode. I'd say watch it if you had nothing else to watch. One of my favorite shows of the season is Revenge, and it came back tonight, and it did not disappoint. I love that show. Every episode I feel is just so jam packed with new information. This episode shows Tyler going crazy. We find out that he has like mental problems and he hasn't been taking his medication. So that's why we see him slowly go more and more crazy. In this episode, he actually pulls a gun out on everyone, pulls it on Emily, the Graysons. This is at Daniel's birthday party. So the rich boy having a clam bake birthday party, but whatever. But he goes all crazy with a gun, and it's kind of one of those episodes where they show they show the beginning at the end and the end at the beginning. I don't know how to explain that, but it shows off. Episode starts off with Tyler with the gun, and then they describe how it happened. So it was pretty entertaining, and we see Nolan get stabbed by a knife by his former paramour. It was pretty crazy. I mean, we already knew Tyler's crazy, but him stabbing Nolan was kind of over the top crazy. And I don't know, it was great. It was just drama filled, and I really do love that show. But by the end of the episode, Tyler kind of alludes to everyone that he knows the secret that the Graysons have been hiding about Emily/Amanda's father. And then the fake Amanda kind of listens to this because she's also at this clam bake. And it seems like she might want to pursue the information on her own after Tyler's arrested and everything. So I think the new plot point I mean, every episode, it seems like new people pop up and I don't know, it's a crazy show, but it seems like the faux Amanda is going to try and look into the Graysons. So, I don't know. I think that's going to be pretty crazy. All right. And then another show that premiered tonight that I said I wasn't going to watch, but I ended up watching was I Get That a Lot. It had a lot of famous people. It had Polly, I can't ever pronounce her name, Perrine, I don't know. She's the tatted up girl that plays the forensic scientist on NCIS. It had Jerry Springer from, Trailer Trash fame. Apollo Ono, who's an Olympic gold medalist and also won his season of Dancing with the Stars. There's Ty Pennington, who is the host of Home Makeover. I can't remember the full title of the show, but it's the one on ABC where they fix houses for random story, that like people from the army or people that really need help. Dr. Drew, famous for talk shows and Celebrity Rehab. And Pam Anderson, famous for her giant boobs. But she was also on Baywatch and a lot of other things. But essentially, all these celebrities pretended to be common people in like workplaces. Like Pamela Anderson pretended to work for a makeup booth. Polly Perret pretended to work as a like a deli, I think it was. But essentially, they pretend they're not famous and work there. And when people recognize them, they say, "I get that a lot." And it gets a little repetitive since they keep saying, "I get that a lot, I get that a lot, I get that a lot." And I ended up wanting to just punch the screen because they just keep saying that. And I really don't care. And I mean, if I ever met any of these people in person, I'd know who they were. So you couldn't kind of fake me out of it. I would say, "I know who you are." But these people started believing them. "Oh, I get that a lot." I don't know. This show's kind of BS, and I don't know. I watched the whole thing. I wouldn't recommend watching the second episode ever again. It's one of those things where it's funny when you first see it, but you don't want to keep watching it. So, yeah. And then there was Mobbed. That was the show about flash mobs. This episode centered around a ridiculous premise. Some guy who's been talking to this girl that he met online for 5 years wants to finally meet her and start being her boyfriend. And he's going to move everything his whole life to LA if she says yes. And so they do this whole elaborate, dance and sing and, fake speed dating kind of thing all at once.